Perhaps the reason sleep feels so far away is not that your body is restless, but that your mind has already left the room. It wanders backward into moments you cannot change. It races forward into hours that have not yet begun. And while it travels, the only place where rest is possible remains empty. You are lying here. The day is over. The night has arrived. Yet the mind keeps running as if peace were something that must be earned by solving every unanswered question before the eyes can close. You do not have to solve your entire life tonight. You do not have to rewrite what has already happened. You do not have to prepare for every possible version of tomorrow. Those places, the past and the future, are not where your body is. They are not where this breath is. They are not where stillness lives. Right now, there is only this moment. Feel the quiet truth of that. The mind may still want to leave. It may still reach for old regrets or imagined fears. That is its long habit. But you are allowed to notice the habit without following it. You are allowed to stop running. Let the shoulders soften just a little. Let the breath move without effort. There's nowhere else you need to be in this exact second. No problem that must be finished before you can rest. No memory that requires your full attention at 3 a.m. The Stoics understood this deeply. Life is only ever lived in the present. Everything else is either memory or imagination. And while memory and imagination have their place, they cannot give you the peace that is available right here. Tonight you are invited to return. Return from the places that pull you away. Return from the endless rehearsal of what went wrong and what might go wrong. Return to the only moment that is real. This moment. Stay here for a breath and another. You have already begun. The mind has a strange way of abandoning the only place it can ever truly rest. It drifts into yesterday, turning over conversations, decisions, and moments that already belong to history. It gathers regret like stones and carries them into the night, as if holding them tightly enough might somehow change what cannot be changed. Then it leaps ahead. It builds careful pictures of tomorrow. It rehearses conversations that have not happened. It invents dangers that may never arrive. Anxiety grows in the space between what is real and what is only imagined. Both directions exhaust the same quiet energy. Both directions leave the present moment empty. The Stoics saw this clearly. They understood that much of our suffering comes not from what happens, but from the mind's refusal to stay where life is actually unfolding. Epictetus taught that we are disturbed not by events themselves, but by the views we take of them. And so often those views are aimed at a past that is already finished or a future that has not yet begun. Notice how much of the mental noise tonight belongs to places that are not here. The body is in this room. The breath is moving in this body. The night is quiet around you. Yet the mind may still be somewhere else, arguing with memory or bracing for something that has not arrived. This is not a failure, it is a habit. A long practiced habit of leaving the present in search of control. But control over the past is an illusion. Control over the future is incomplete at best. What remains within reach is simpler and far more powerful. The way we meet this moment, you do not need to force the mind into silence. You only need to notice where it has gone and gently invite it back. Back from the regret that cannot be rewritten. Back from the fear that has not yet earned its place. Back to the only time that is real. Here. In this breath. In this body. In this quiet night. If the past is where regret lives and the future is where fear often gathers, Then peace begins the moment we stop leaving the only place we actually are. So let us return. Begin with the breath, not as a technique, not as something to control, simply as something that is already happening. Feel the air enter, cool and quiet. Feel it leave, soft and complete. There is no need to deepen it, no need to perfect it. Just notice that it continues, loyal and steady, whether the mind is calm or restless. Now bring awareness to the body. Feel the weight of it resting, the back against the surface beneath you, the head supported, the arms and legs growing heavier in the most natural way. Gravity is holding you. You do not have to hold yourself up anymore. Notice the points of contact, the fabric against the skin, the temperature of the air, the quiet presence of the room around you. These things are not abstract. They are here. They belong to this moment alone. The mind may still wander. That is expected. When it does, you do not need to scold it. Simply notice where it went and return. Return to the breath. Return to the weight of the body. Return to the simple fact that you are here, and nowhere else is required of you right now. This is the beginning of stillness, not the forced absence of thought, not the struggle to empty the mind, just the quiet decision to stay. Stay with what is real. Stay with what is present. Stay with what does not demand that you solve the past or predict the future. The Stoics returned to this practice again and again. In the midst of difficulty, they trained themselves to come back to what was actually before them, not as escape, as clarity, as strength. You are practicing that same return now. Each time you notice the mind has left, and each time you gently bring it home, you are strengthening the one place where peace can take root. This moment, this breath, this quiet body resting in the night. There is nothing else you need to reach for. Stillness is not the absence of thought. It is the quiet strength of no longer being pulled by every thought that appears. Thoughts will come, memories will surface, worries will knock at the door of the mind. That is the nature of a living mind. Stillness does not demand that they disappear. It simply refuses to follow them wherever they want to lead. This is a power the Stoics trained carefully. Marcus Aurelius returned again and again to the inner citadel, the part of the mind that can observe without being swept away. He understood that the world outside would always contain noise, difficulty, and change. But the mind could choose whether to be carried off by every current. You can feel the beginning of that choice now. A thought rises, perhaps about something left unfinished, or something feared. You see it, you recognize it, and then you allow it to pass without climbing onto its back. You remain here, in the body, in the breath, in the quiet fact of this moment. That is stillness. It is not passive. It is not weakness. It is the active decision to stop abandoning the present for places that cannot give you rest. It is the strength to remain where life is actually happening. Notice how the body responds when the mind stops racing away. The shoulders soften a little more. The jaw releases. The breath finds a slower, more natural rhythm. The nervous system begins to understand that no emergency is present. No battle needs to be fought in this hour. Stillness creates safety. Not because the outside world has suddenly become predictable, but because you are no longer scattering your attention across every possible threat and every old wound. You are here, and being here is enough. The power of stillness is not dramatic. It does not announce itself with force. It simply grows quieter and more steady each time you choose not to leave. Each time you return, each time you remember that the only moment you can ever inhabit fully is the one that is already in your hands. Rest in that power now. Let it hold you without effort. Some of what keeps the mind awake belongs to yesterday. Moments you wish had gone differently. Words you would take back if you could. Decisions that still carry a quiet weight. Losses that never fully left. The past can feel close at night, as if it still requires something from you. An apology, a correction, a different ending. But the past is no longer here. It can be remembered, it can be learned from, it can even be honored, but it cannot be lived again. No amount of mental revisiting will reopen the door and allow you to walk back through it. The Stoics understood the cost of refusing to accept this. They knew that clinging to what has already happened only multiplies suffering. Seneca wrote of the heavy burden we carry when we drag yesterday into every new hour. The wiser path is not to erase the past, but to stop demanding that it becomes something else. You do not need to dismiss the pain. Some things hurt because they mattered. Compassion does not require forgetting. It only requires honesty about what can and cannot be changed. Feel the difference between remembering and reliving. Remembering can be gentle. Reliving keeps the wound open long after the moment has passed. Tonight you are invited to choose the gentler path. Let the past remain the past. It does not need your constant attention to exist. It does not improve because you stay awake with it. Whatever lessons it offered are already within you. Whatever growth it required has already begun. You are allowed to set it down for the night. Not forever. Not with forced positivity. Simply for now. So that this moment can be lived without the full weight of everything that came before. Breathe out slowly. As the air leaves, imagine releasing the need to carry yesterday any further into the dark. The past can rest, and so can you. Just as the past pulls the mind backward, the future reaches forward with its own quiet demands. What if this happens? What if that fails? What if the things you fear begin to take shape? The mind builds careful scenarios in the dark, as if rehearsing every possible difficulty might somehow protect you from it. But tomorrow has not arrived. It will come in its own time, carrying whatever it carries. You cannot live it in advance. You cannot solve it from this bed. You cannot control every variable by staying awake and turning it over again and again. The Stoics returned often to this truth. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. Much of what we fear never happens. And even when difficulty does come, it arrives in the present, where we meet it with the resources of that moment, not with the exhausted mind of the night before. You do not need to experience tomorrow tonight. The questions can wait. The planning can wait. The bracing against uncertainty can wait. None of it requires your attention in this hour. Feel how much energy has been spent trying to secure a future that is still unformed. Notice the tension that lives in the body when the mind insists on preparing for every outcome. And then gently begin to release the demand for certainty. Certainty is not required for rest. Peace does not depend on knowing what comes next. It depends on accepting that you do not need to know everything right now. The present moment asks for far less than the anxious mind believes. Return again to the breath. Return to the weight of the body. Return to the simple fact that this night is enough. Tomorrow will arrive when it arrives. You will meet it then, rested, clearer, and more capable than a night of worry could ever make you. For now, let the future remain in the future. It does not need you yet. The journey has been simple, though not always easy. You have noticed the mind's long habit of leaving. You have seen how it travels into a past that cannot be changed and a future that has not yet come. You have practiced returning, again and again, to the only place where life is actually happening. And now you are here. Nothing needs to be solved in this moment. Nothing needs to be forced. Nothing needs to be figured out before the eyes can close. The past can remain where it belongs. Tomorrow can wait for its own dawn. This moment is enough. Feel the body growing heavier still. The muscles no longer required to hold anything up. The breath moving in its own quiet rhythm. The mind no longer chased by every thought, beginning to settle like clear water after the wind has passed. This is the stillness the Stoics trusted. Not an empty silence, not a forced calm, simply the deep recognition that you do not have to carry what was never yours to control. You do not have to live the whole of your life in a single night. You only have to be here. Let the last remaining tension soften. Let the jaw release. Let the forehead smooth. Let the hands rest open and quiet. The night is holding you. The present is holding you. There is nowhere else you need to go. If thoughts still drift across the surface of awareness, meet them with the softest recognition and let them continue on their way. You do not need to follow. You do not need to answer. You are free to remain in this quiet place. The day is finished. The striving can rest. The mind can lay down its endless work. Sleep is not something you must achieve. It is something you allow. The body already knows the way. The breath already knows the rhythm. All that remains is to stop leaving the moment that is already yours. Rest now, in the stillness, in the present, in the simple peace of being here. Nothing more is required. You may sleep